Okay, so hey guys, welcome back to another Sport This Week video, and in today's video, got baseball, basketball, tennis, darts, ice hockey, football, NFL, cricket, boxing, UFC, and Moto GP news. If you are new around here and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do need like the video, and just before we get straight into it, just got to have a little disclaimer of the title, I suppose. Not going to go too much in depth to it yet, but this will be the last Sport This Week. It's been about almost 3 years I've been doing it, and I've decided now that I'm going to be stopping it now. Like I said, we'll get onto it a little bit more in the end, but it won't be a complete end to me bringing sport-based news to this channel, but it will just be a big change. We'll just get straight into it. Like I said, we'll speak about it at the end. So I'm going to start off with the baseball news. Yankees won 7-2 versus Athletics. Dodgers won 9-3 versus Brewers. Astros lost 6-4 versus Angels. Yankees won 10-5 versus Athletics. Red Sox lost 9-3 versus Braves. Dodgers won 6-2 versus Brewers. Astros won 3-1 versus Angels. Yankees won 11-3 versus Athletics. Dodgers won 8-1 versus Brewers. Astros won 5-4 versus Angels. Red Sox won 5-2 versus Braves. Yankees lost 8-2 versus Rays. Yankees won 6-5 versus Rays. Red Sox lost 8-6 versus Cardinals. Astros won 5-1 versus White Sox. Dodgers won 4-2 versus Padres. Yankees won 9-8 versus Rays. Red Sox lost 4-3 versus Cardinals. Astros lost 3-1 versus White Sox. Dodgers won 4-2 versus Padres. Yankees lost 8-7 versus Rays. Astros won 4-3 versus White Sox, and Dodgers won 4-0 versus Padres. And that is all the baseball news. We're on now to the basketball news. Heat won 109-101 versus Knicks. Lakers won 104-101 versus Warriors. 76ers won 115-103 versus Celtics. Heat lost 112-103 versus Knicks. Warriors won 121-106 versus Lakers. Celtics won 95-86 versus 76ers. Heat won 96-92 versus Knicks. Lakers won 122-101 versus Warriors. Celtics won 112-88 versus 76ers. And that's all the basketball news. We're on now to the tennis news, where it's the Italian Open. Contaviet won 2-0 versus Parks. Badoza won 2-1 versus Friedsam. Contaviet lost 2-0 versus Samsonova. Sakari won 2-0 versus Strizova. Zverev and Melo lost 2-1 versus Krawietz and Puetz. Swiatek won 2-0 versus Pavlyuchenko. Badoza won 2-0 versus Jabeur. Djokovic won 2-0 versus Etcheverry. Alcaraz won 2-0 versus Ramos v Nolas. Tsitsipas won 2-0 versus Borges. Sakari lost 2-0 versus Vondrousova. Mendoza won 2-0 versus Rusevori. Sakari won 2-0 versus Sorenko. Djokovic won 2-0 versus Dimitrov. Badoza won 2-0 versus Kostyuk. And Zverev won 2-1 versus Goffin. And that's all the tennis news. We're now to the ice hockey news. Maple Leafs won 2-1 versus Panthers. And Maple Leafs lost 3-2 versus Panthers. And that's all the ice hockey news. Moving on now to the darts news, where it's Premier League darts. Price won 6-2 versus Price. Wright lost 6-4 versus Dobie. Smith won 6-4 versus Van Gerwen. Price won 6-2 versus Dobie. Smith won 6-4 versus Clayton. Smith won 6-3 versus Price. It was also the Czech Darts Open. Wright won 6-5 versus Dolan. Van Gerwen won 6-4 versus De Decker. Humphries won 6-4 versus Smith. Van Gerwen won 6-5 versus Rock. Wright won 6-3 versus Nopert. Humphries won 6-1 versus Van den Berg. Van Gerwen lost 6-4 versus Cross. Wright won 6-3 versus Humphries. Wright won 7-5 versus Herta. Wright won 8-6 versus Chisnell to win the Czech Darts Open. And that's all the darts news. We're on now to the full football news, where Fulham won 5-3 versus Leicester. Everton won 5-1 versus Brighton. Forest won 4-3 versus Southampton. Messi won the Larius World Sportsman of the Year. Real Madrid drew 1-1 versus Man City. Inter won 2-0 versus Milan. Ismail is the new Watford manager. Juventus drew 1-1 versus Sevilla. West Ham won 2-1 versus AZ. Roma won 1-0 versus Leverkusen. Basel won 2-1 versus Fiorentina. Nunes won Goal of the Month. Ramsdale won Save of the Month. Haaland won Player of the Month. Emery won Manager of the Month. Villa won 2-1 versus Spurs. Chelsea drew 2-2 versus Forest. Palace won 2-0 versus Bournemouth. Man U won 2-0 versus Wolves. Fulham won 2-0 versus Southampton. Leeds drew 2-2 versus Newcastle. Southampton have been relegated. Inter won 4-2 versus Sassuolo. Dortmund won 5-2 versus Mönchengladbach. Spezia won 2-0 versus Milan. Bayern won 6-0 versus Schalke. Barcelona won 4-2 versus Espanyol to win the La Liga. Brighton won 3-0 versus Arsenal. Elche won 1-0 versus Atletico Madrid. Man City won 3-0 versus Everton. Brentford won 2-0 versus West Ham. Chelsea won 1-0 versus Man U to win the FA Cup. And Seoul has joined West Brom. And that's all the football news. Moving on to the cricket news. Bangladesh versus Ireland was abandoned, their first match. Bangladesh won by 3 wickets then versus Ireland, and Bangladesh won by 4 runs versus Ireland. And that's all the cricket news. Moving on to the NFL news, there's only one bit of news, and that being Browns trading for Smith. And that is all the NFL news. Moving on now to the boxing news. Smith will rematch Eubank on the 1st July. Whittaker will fight on the 1st July. Nunes has joined the Matchroom. Hamaduche has retired. Zhu will fight Ocampo on the 18th of June. McCormack versus Dixon. Price versus Beach Jr. Ferreira versus Zamora. Boston, Bowen, Levers, O'Regan will fight on the 1st July. Stanionis will fight Ortiz on the 9th of July. Very glad to see that fight happening because it's good to see Ortiz having everything good with his health, and that is a fight which I'm looking forward to. Yumbi won by KO in round 3 versus Gurchik. Davey won by points versus Glowacki. Noakes won by TK at round 1 versus Zamora. Sokinski won by stoppage in round 4 versus Duffers. Garner won by KO in round 2 versus Valverde. Bork won by points versus Trana. Itoma won by points versus Gradia. Zorro won by TK in round 7 versus Burton to become WBO European Cruiserweight Champion. Hutchinson won by KO in round 4 versus Moderna to become WBC International Light Heavyweight Champion. Simmons drew versus Sampson. We've already had Simmons back on the channel since then. He still seems in good heart, and it's good to see. He's always he's just going to grow for this, of course. Potter won by points versus Jackson. Richards won by KO in round 4 versus Matthews. Also had both of these on the channel, and it's good to see Richards making his return, and Matthews. Fair play to him, but you can tell the level difference realistically. Murney won by points versus Santos. Had her on the channel yesterday. It was good to speak to her, and like I said, she looks to be looking for titles hopefully soon and bouts. Woodstock won by KO in round 3 versus Norman. Challenger won by points versus Angulo. Nesta won by unanimous decision versus King. Halaham won by unanimous decision versus Zuckles. The Nesta one I predicted wrong. Predicted right that one I believe. Mbaya won by decision versus Korn. I think I predicted that wrong. Wings won via TK in round 2 versus Boogie. I did predict that wrong. I see a lot of people talking smack about this and saying it's all crap and stuff, but I don't mind it. I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. I think the element of where it is with Misfits, it's fair enough. If this was a professional boxing matchup, then it would be a different story, but it's not. Well, it is, but it's not technically. So for me, this is where it should be, and this is a fair enough platform to have it, and I would love to see them fight again, or more heavyweight fights. It's interesting. I'm sure for a lot of people that may be in that position, it is inspirational, and so I don't see any problem with it. People are loaded, people chatting shit, but I don't see a problem with it. Belzy won by unanimous decision versus Kimchi. I believe I predicted that right. Keiki won by decision versus Fresher. I think I predicted that right. Farouz won by KO in round 4 versus DK Money. I think I got that one. Taylor won by unanimous decision versus Sok Papi. Didn't get that one. Taylor, he's good. He's a good solid fighter. He knows how to win and what to do to win. And it's creditable to be able to do that, but it's just not very entertaining, to be honest. It's just, when you're on something like Misfits, you've seen fights that maybe haven't been so much entertaining in the past, and then they've just been kind of mocked, and even Mams Taylor a bit chatted a shit against them, and this fight wasn't entertaining because Taylor just knows how to win boringly, I suppose, and just clinch, and just, it's good if you want to be a professional and that's what you want to do, and you want to be somewhat of like a journeyman or tester fighter for people, but for this, there's no point. It was alright. Shame to see Sok Papi lose, to be honest. That kind of whole persona around him doing well, not doing well, but being one of the stars, possibly main eventing, is going to have to be put on the back burner for the moment. Deji won by unanimous decision versus Swarms. Did get that one. KSI won via KO in round 2 versus Fournier, and that's the kind of big topic for this week. Blatant elbow, I think. Yes, I don't think it was intentional, like Fournier was saying. I don't believe so at all. I don't see the point in it being intentional if it was. I think he should be disqualified? Yes. I think an elbow is an elbow at the end of the day. I've seen fights be disqualified for a lot less. And like I said, I think an elbow is an elbow. And you can't have that in the sport. And so to also have played that much of a factor in the knockout, then I think blatantly it should be disqualified. Do I think it will be? Obviously, I believe the verdict's announced Friday, so I'll speak about it next week. That's kind of a little exclosure of what we're doing next week. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, KSI, of course, he's the guy for Misfits. He's the face of it, and it's his company, and so I just don't know, to be honest. It should be, justice should be served in that aspect. Should they rematch? No. I think KSI was battering Fournier and would do the same again, and there's just no point in it. I would like to see KSI fight Tommy Fury, to be honest. That sells a little bit hype now. It'll be a big fight, big pay-per-view. Of course, Jake Paul's the one I want the most, but I don't hate the Tommy Fury one. But yeah, should he get disqualified for that? Yes, in my opinion. Moving on. Martinez drew versus James. Vargas won via unanimous decision versus Manzano. Villa won via KO in round 5 versus Villagrano. Norman Jr. won via unanimous decision versus Campos. Flores Jr. won via KO in round 1 versus Murray. Alim McNally won via KO in round 2 versus Butler to remain WBO or world middleweight champion. And what a dominant fashion that was. Fair play to Janabek, proving yet again that he's one of the most powerful and one of the best middleweights around at the moment. And I really want to see him have a huge fight next, but nobody wants to fight him. And surely at some point, the mandatory bodies are going to have to get involved and just force him to be fighting people, because he clearly wants to, and he clearly is up for it, but nobody else is at the moment. And so, I mean, this isn't going to help his cause in that aspect anyway, being able to dominate that victory. But it just shows how good he is, to be honest. And yeah, he is an amazing fighter. Maloney won via majority decision versus Astrolabio to become a WBO World Bantamweight Champion. I did get that one. Whit Mia won via unanimous decision versus Vargas. Villoria won via TK in round 4 versus Penilo. Barintez won via unanimous decision versus Centeno. Angeletti won via TK in round 8 versus Banquez. Castillo won via unanimous decision versus Suero. Barthelemy won via majority decision versus Juarez. Romero won via TK in round 9 versus Barroso to become WBA World Super Lightweight Champion. I haven't seen this fight yet, but Romero won. I heard there was a bit of controversy around it. I would love to see Romero now fight Garcia. I know there's been a lot of talks about that at the moment, and that for me is the fight which I like to see. But like I said, I can't really give too much of a verdict on it because I haven't quite seen it yet. But like I said, I think I've heard some controversy around the result. Sims Jr. won by majority decision versus Akhmedov. Volny won by TK in round 3 versus Ramirez. Bouchard won by stoppage in round 6 versus Marquez. Ibarra won by unanimous decision versus Kubicki. Vere won by unanimous decision versus Gongora. Clavel won by unanimous decision versus Reyes to become WBC International Light Flyweight Champion. I did a prediction for this a little while ago before it got rescheduled. I believe I predicted it right. I might be wrong. I can't remember, but I think I did. And good to see Clavel getting back to winning ways. Theory won by split decision versus Malajica. Sibanda won by stoppage in round 2 versus Wessels. Nakoj won by unanimous decision versus Bolo. Koopman won via TK in round 2 versus De Klerk. Gomez won via K in round 4 versus Pretorius. Lorena won via unanimous decision versus Merhi. I believe I got that one. Bauer won via unanimous decision versus Gonzalez to become IBF and IBO World Youth Super Middleweight Champion. I believe I got that one. Al Tunkaya won by stoppage in round 5 versus Musa to become a WBC Mediterranean Light Heavyweight Champion. Sin Kionchik won via TKO in round 6 versus Maguisa to remain IBO World and IBF Youth Light Heavyweight Champion, which I believe I did get right as well. Borman won via unanimous decision versus Bustillos to remain WBC interim world minimum weight champion. Didn't get that one. Shame, to be honest. I think Bustillos, I still believe she can have a good career in the sport and will probably end up bouncing back, and I quite like her style still. But yeah, she did lose that one, definitely. And so now we're going to move on to the UFC news. Vieira will fight Kianzad on the 22nd of July. Dern will fight Hill on the 20th of May. Volkanovski will fight Rodriguez on the 8th of July. Great to see Volkanovski coming back in, wanting to be active, and even if that Makhachev rematch isn't happening at the moment, I'm sure it will down the line. And it's a good fight for him to possibly to be seemingly getting back to winning ways, hopefully, but still being a good test. Aspinall will fight Tibero on the 22nd of July. Can't wait to see Aspinall back. Tough test. Not as tough as what Blades was, but still a tough test coming back from the injury, of course. Diakiese will fight Alvarez on the 22nd of July. Holm will fight Bueno Silva on the 15th of July. Morona won via submission in round 2 versus Means. Wahlberg won via KO in round 1 versus Potieria. Gary won via KO in round 1 versus Rodriguez. Walker won via decision versus Smith. Almeida won via submission in round 1 versus Rosenstrike. And that's all the UFC news. Moving on to the Moto GP news. Marquez didn't have to do his double long lap penalty upon return. Marquez returned to racing in the French Grand Prix, and it was the French Grand Prix this week, where Bagnaia was on pole, Marquez started second, and Marini started third. In the end, Bezecchi won, Malta came second, and Zarco came third, with Marquez, Miller, Rins, Mir, Marini, Marquez, Bagnaia, and Vinales not finishing. And that is it for today's video, and that is it for the last ever sport this week. Wow. I mean, like I said, I've been doing it for about 2 years. I managed to get the date for the first one being the 24th of August 2020. So yeah, going on 3 years now. Hopefully I've changed a little bit since then. I'd like to hope I have. I would not recommend going back to watching the first one, but it's been a pleasure to be doing this. I've been umming and ahhing about stopping it, to be honest. Like I said, I mean, I've been trying to always get them out on a Monday, and I mean, I've been relatively consistent. I've probably missed only a couple of weeks over the past going on 3 years, and so it's been good to be able to do this. But I think just at the moment, time wise, struggling to do it. I mean, as you can see, these are coming out late most weeks on Mondays now, and I think now is just a time to do it. And now I'm going to branch more to just fighting sport stuff, and so I've got 3 more videos left that aren't fighting related, being my reaction to my championship and Premier League predictions, and my reaction to the Golden Boot and Golden Glove. I'll be doing all them 3. I believe the championship one will be out tomorrow, but that will probably be it for like the non-fighting based videos, at least for a little while. Not saying that I've fallen out with any of these sports or anything, but just for my own personal channel, I'm going to try grow it with just consistently doing this. I think I found a little bit of maybe not a niche, but just my lane that I want to go into, and I think that fighting is going to be the lane and will consistently be the lane, and this channel is most probably going to be a fighting based channel, which I'm sure most of the subscribers here are here for anyway. And I mean, in general, I mean, I've been doing this for a while. I'm surprised that I've been able to do Sport This Week for this long. Because it's a lot to write. Obviously, I'm doing it off my own back, and I enjoy doing it. I ain't complaining, but I mean, I'm writing on pretty much 3 pages each time, and I just don't always have time to do that at the moment. And but you know, I appreciate everyone who that's watched one of these videos. The channel recently, I know it's still a small channel and everything like that, but it has been growing at a very good rate, and probably the quickest rate in which it ever has been before. And saying I've been doing YouTube now a while now, I don't know when I started. It's good to see that I've found a market to go into, and it's seemingly working. So I appreciate all of you. Don't feel like I always say that enough on this channel. But yeah, that is it for this final Sport This Week video. Hope you did enjoy. Like the video if you did need like the video. Just before then, I will say this kind of fighting breakdown thing will be out next Monday. But yeah, like the video if you did need like the video. Subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.